डॉक्टर बाबा साहेब आंबेडकर ओपन यूनिवर्सिटी।
Namaskar students, I Dr. Jaini Shah welcome you all to the video lecture series by Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar Open University, Ahmedabad. Today from the syllabus of second year Bachelor of Arts in English, we are going to take up paper number 3, from that unit number 8, which is Puritan Age, Major Writers and Their Literary Works. Friends, in the earlier session, I have already discussed the major characteristics of the Puritan age. For example, Christianity, the Holy Book Bible, monarchy, parliament, constant dilemma between reasoning and faith. All these created a kind of turbulence in the political, social, economic stratas of the England from the years 1603 to 1660. Since literature holds up a mirror to the society, literature reflects the life, all these conditions and scenarios were reflected in the writings of that time. Hence, in this lecture, I am going to discuss with you some of the major authors of the Puritan age and their major literary works. Friends, by the end of this session, you will be able to assimilate knowledge about the trends of this period in the history of English literature, along with its major writers and their works. So, let us begin. Friends, the characteristics of this Puritan age have been discussed in the earlier session. So, we already know that Christianity and monarchy, the ruling king, these were the major factors that impacted the social, political, religious as well as literary scenario in the history of England from the years 1603 to 1660. Also, the Puritan age is important because during the writings of this age, the development of various genres of literature in English started to take form. A major form of prose work, that is a novel, found its beginnings in this age through long prose works of the authors of the Puritan age. Friends, like its history, the literature of this period is also divided into 3 periods. The first one is the literature of Jacobean period from the years 1603 to 1625, when King James I was the ruler of England. Second one is the literature of Caroline period from the years 1625 to 1649, when King Charles I was the ruler of England. And third one is the literature of Commonwealth period from 1649 to 1660, when King Oliver Cromwell was the ruler of England. Each period contributed variedly for the growth of this literature. In the literature of all these 3 periods, there were different traits or characteristics which were prevalent depending upon the monarchy or the ruling king. The literature from Jacobean prose writers, Spenserian poets, the metaphysical poets, religious poets and cavalier poets, all of them constructed the literature which was different from one another, but we now collectively acknowledge it as the Puritan literature. Friends, all these writers were influenced by the Bible, as it is a major feature of that age. There are many literary writers in the Puritan age, but here I have chosen a selected 7 major authors whose works had a major impact in shaping Puritan literature. Such writers are John Donne, George Herbert, John Milton, Andrew Marvell, Robert Burton, Thomas Browne and Francis Bacon. Now, having this introduction, friends, let us proceed further to the major writers and their works in greater detail. Friends, the first major author of the Puritan age is John Donne. John Donne was born in London in the year 1557. His father was a rich iron merchant. Donne was a Catholic by religion, he was affluent and intellectual, and he had declared himself as a humble Christian. Donne chose to become a preacher in the church, and his fame grew rapidly from there. Within a short span of few years, he became the Dean of St. Paul's Cathedral in London. He had written two of his best poems, The Storm and The Calm. Donne's work embodies a kind of mystery. When one reads his work, it feels like something is hidden and something is eager to reveal itself. It is the world of great exploration and deep understanding. Donne's religious poetry dominated after the year 1610. His poems called the 19 Holy Sonnets and a hymn to God the Father. Friends, hymn is a song or worship for God. These two are his masterpieces. If we look at the titles, Holy Sonnet and Hymn to God, we come to know that religion was at the center for Donne. The two works are very intense and depict the inner self of Donne. His prose work, Pseudo Martyr, in 1610, it's a critical prose tract in English which attracted the attention and favor of King James I. It advocated taking the oath of allegiance of James I of England for the people of England. So basically he wrote in the favor of the king and his policies. His best prose was Decians, published in 1614, which gave an account of his spiritual struggle during a serious illness. His finest sermon was Death's Duel, published in 1630. It is a religious lecture or a discourse. Death's Duel, 1623, was last sermon by Donne. It contained many features of his religious poetry. Intensely personal, their appeal was primarily emotional, and Donne used a dramatic technique which had a great hold on his audience. A critic called Jesus Cora Alonso divided John Donne's poetry into three main groups. One group was made of his works which were about satires, cynical, anti-Petrarchan love poems. Friends, Petrarchan is a type of sonnet, so that forms first category. Second category of his poems is that it is sincere, deeply felt Neo-Platonic amatory poems. Platonic amatory are the poems expressing love, especially romantic love. And third category is of his devotional poems. So we can say that John Donne wrote poems on these three subjects: satire, love and devotion to God. Further, Donne's work called Devotion upon Emergent Occasions, it was published in 1624. It was a prose work dedicated to King Charles I. So it is evident that John Donne wrote at a time when England witnessed the change in monarchy, starting from King James I to King Charles I. John Donne's other notable works are majority in the form of poems, which are The Flea, The Sun Rising, The Good Morrow, The Canonization, A Valediction Forbidding Mourning, The Ecstasy, Elegy number 20, To His Mistress Going to Bed, Holy Sonnet number 10, Death Be Not Proud, Holy Sonnet number 14, Better My Heart, 3% God, Hymn to God, My God, In My Sickness, Good Friday. These were the best poems of John Donne. Now friends, let us see another major writer of Puritan age. He is called George Herbert. Friends, George Herbert has written some noble verses of prayer for aspiration which express the underlying Puritan spirit of his age, which was religion. None of his poems was published during his lifetime. Herbert's chief work, The Temple, consists of over 150 short poems. Almost all were about the church, about its ceremonials, its events and happenings, and the experience of the Christian life. The first poem, The Church Porch, is the longest poem by Herbert. The Temple is a wonderful collection of condensed sermons, that is, religious discourses, wise thoughts and moral lessons. They are metaphysical in their unusual conceits and in the blend of thought and feeling. Friends, remember, metaphysical poetry is a poetry which depicts about one's connection to the God, the Almighty. Herbert was a careful artist, precise and simple in expression, fond of unusual metrical patterns and a lover of harmony. Herbert himself described his works as pictures of the many spiritual conflicts that have passed between God and my soul before I could subject mine to the will of Jesus, my Master, in whose service I have now found perfect freedom. His poems are peculiarly honest, intimate, sincere, modest, and devoted to Jesus. Herbert's best known poems are The Pulley, The Collar, The Flower, Jordan, The Pearl, The Wreath, Easter Wings, etc. In the poem The Pearl, Herbert tells us how he is well acquainted with certain key pursuits and benefits in life, such as learning, honor, and pleasure. But these things are nothing as compared to Herbert's love for God. According to him, once you have found God, nothing can compare to the pleasure of being one with God. Now, another major writer, friends, of Puritan age is John Milton. Friends, John Milton is the author of one of the classics in English literature, an epic poem called Paradise Lost, which was first published in 1667. But here we are going to focus on Milton's works which were written during the Puritan age. Friends, John Milton was born and brought up in London. He received his education at Cambridge. He had much concern for mankind and struggle for human freedom. Two incidents that most affected the life of Milton were marriage and his blindness. Yes, he had lost his eyesight. In 1643, he married to Mary Powell. Their marriage was unsuccessful, and therefore, on the basis of that experience, he wrote Doctrine and Discipline of Divorce and Tetrachordon. His work on his blindness was the reflection of grief in darkness and spirit of sublime. His poems L'Allegro, the joyous or happy man, Il Penseroso, the pensive or thoughtful man, were the twin poems. These were written in Latin, as the title suggests, and further they were written in English also. L'Allegro is the poem denoting the happiest man in the world in the presence of nature, where everything is beautiful and pleasurable. Whereas in contrast, the second poem called Il Penseroso, which means the pensive or thoughtful man, in that the whole atmosphere is same, but a man is not happy. The mood of the poet is entirely different here. One poem presents the beautiful nature of morning with the atmosphere of sun rising, while another poem deals with the atmosphere of sunset and gloominess. Everything is same, but the person's mood is not as equal as it was in the first poem. If we look at the prose work of Milton, we find his most famous work, Areopagitica. It is about agitation against the law on freedom of press, whereas he argues with government to free the publication houses and allow the press to be autonomous, to give the freedom to the press. Whereas in Paradise Lost, the story deals with Adam, how he fell to the temptation of Satan and how he is punished for his sins. Further, friends, on the morning of Christ's nativity, Lycidas, L'Allegro, Il Penseroso, Arcadis, Comus, Paradise Lost, Paradise Regained, Icon Basilic, which means royal image, Iconoclasta, which means image breaker, Areopagitica, and Samson Agonist. Some of the titles are in Latin language, as you may know, but these are the best works of Milton. So we can see that Milton too wrote in works about human nature, governance and religion, as these were the important features of the Puritan age. Next up, friends, is the author called Andrew Marvell. Friends, Andrew Marvell is a Puritan poet and a friend of John Milton. Marvell, whose best poems were written in the early 1650s, did not publish during his lifetime, but they were written in the Puritan age. He is remembered for his best poem, To His Coy Mistress, for its theme of love and sensuality. In his Horatian ode upon Cromwell's return from Ireland, he pays his homage to the protector Oliver Cromwell and gives a tribute to King Charles I also. His famous poems are Upon Appleton House, Bermudas, The Garden, The Mower Against Gardens, The Mower to the Glowworms, The Mower's Song, A Dialogue Between Soul and Created Pleasure, A Dialogue Between Soul and Body, The Coronet, Eyes and Fears, The Unfortunate Lover, The Definition of Love. These are his best poetical insights. If we focus on the titles of his works, we find that he too is inspired by the law of nature and the law of God. In his poem called A Dialogue Between the Soul and Body, there is an angry argument between the soul and the body. The soul laments the fact that it must exist inside a body until the body dies, and on the other hand, the body, since it will perish one day, despises the soul for giving it life in the first place. So, this dilemma, conflictual and contrasting thoughts about reason and faith in religion are evident in the writers of this age. Hence, Marvell's poetry is witty, clever and thoughtful, and also philosophical. Now friends, next up is Robert Burton. He was a clergyman who resided permanently at Oxford. He was of a brooding and melancholic temper. He was a bookworm who devoured the libraries of Oxford University and wrote The Anatomy of Melancholy to get relief from his depression. It was published in the year 1621. It is a scientific book, but the book treats with the causes, symptoms and cures of a disease called melancholy or melancholia, which is now attributed to a disease which occurs from bad liver or due to improper functioning of the liver. The Anatomy of Melancholy deals with two chief types of melancholy or sadness. One is love melancholy and the second is religious melancholy. Ostensibly a medical work, but the book is really an anatomy of human folly, enlivened with the author's grave humor. It is full of Latin quotations, sometimes with their translations, and these quotations are taken from ancient authors, modern authors, known authors as well as unknown authors. The book is really an encyclopedia of its professed subject, that is melancholy, as well as it is a curious learning and offers abundant material for learned conversation. But in this book, as the name suggests, it is not only a book on science and medicine, but it is also about love and religion. Now let us talk about Thomas Browne. Thomas Browne is also known as Sir Thomas Browne because of his military rank. He was born in London. He is known for his works of small tracts. Friends, tracts are a small discourse, a booklet, for example, on a particular topic. The first of the tract by this author was Religio Medici, which means the religion of a doctor. It was written in 1635. It appeared in the public domain in 1642 and it became popular. It was translated into many languages such as Latin, French, German, Dutch and Italian. It was reprinted about 8 times during his lifetime. It is also an attempt to make his religious concept clear in his mind and also to defend himself and his profession against the ancient charge of impiety that doctors were atheists. Through this work, he has proved that even doctors can be the believers of God and religion, and that science and religion can go hand in hand. His other works, A Letter to a Friend and Christian Morals, both are interconnected as some of the passages are common to both. The letter starts with a description of a TB patient with the details of the changes wrought by approaching death, and the work further passes to thoughts and precepts and wise thoughts. Now, let us go to the final writer for the session, that is Francis Bacon. Francis Bacon, friends, he is famously known as the father of English essay. He was also a Puritan writer. His work, The Great Insaturation or Renewal, was about laying anew the foundations of human knowledge on which could be reared an ever increasing understanding and control of nature. He wrote The Advancement of Learning Book 1 and The Advancement of Learning Book 2, and also New Atlantis. New Atlantis was published incomplete in the year 1627. It is a slight work which describes a group of seafarers who came upon an unknown island in the South Sea, where they were hospitably entertained and told of high state of morality and civilization that was prevailing there. His work Masculus Partus Temporum, known in English as The Masculine Birth of Time, was published posthumously, that is, it got published after Francis Bacon's death. It talks about the relationship between science and religion. Friends, these Puritan writers had major influence of religion upon them. Bacon demanded a split between religion and science, which is quite opposite to what Sir Thomas Browne wrote and believed. Francis Bacon's Novum Organum, titles are in Latin language, so Novum Organum in English means new method. Then his work Historia Naturalis, which means natural history. Then Scala Intellectus, which means ladder of the intellect, are some of his well-known scientific works. So friends, these were the major writers about whom we discussed, starting from John Donne to George Herbert, John Milton, Andrew Marvell, Robert Burton, Thomas Browne and Francis Bacon, along with their notable and well-known works published during Puritan age and bearing the characteristics of Puritan age. Friends, to conclude, it can be said that for the Puritans, God, religion, love, along with science and reasoning, became their way of expression and more relevant in their day-to-day life. A first-person narrative, personal point of view, journals, diaries and day-to-day experience, religious theme, story of God and Bible, strict order of society, feeling of surrounded by sin and symbolism are seen in writings of these writers of Puritan age in the history of English literature. Further, friends, here are some of the questions based on this session. Try to answer them so that it leads to a better understanding of this particular topic. Further, friends, here is a list of books that you can refer, like A Critical History of English Literature in 2 volumes by David Duchess. It will give you a comprehensive idea of the Puritan age along with its major authors. Next 2 books can also be referred, such as English Literature by W.J. Long and A Compedious History of English Literature by R.D. Trivedi. Also given below are some of the links for available open sources on the internet regarding this particular topic. So friends, thank you for watching the video. I hope this session has provided you with a good information on the major authors of the Puritan age. So friends, thank you once again. Goodbye until next time.
स्वाध्यायः